In this video, we will talk about the concept of mean profits. Now, what are profits? Let's look at this concept before we move on to mean profits. Profits are basically revenue less costs. So if I had a piece of land, I cultivated it, I grew crops, I harvested that crops, took it to the market and sold it at earned revenue. I deduct the cost incurred in bringing that produce to the market and I would get the profit. Now let's talk about mean profit. Again, here I have a piece of land. Instead of me growing the crop, however, someone else illegally came and squatted on that land and he started growing that crop. Now, whatever profit that accrued to him was actually mine. From the time I lost the land to the time I gained back possession of land after filing a suit for recovery of possession and getting a decree in my favor, that profit is due to me along with interest. This is the concept of mean profit. Now, the definition of mean profit can be found in section 2, subsection 12 of the Code of Civil Procedure. Let's have a look at that definition. As per section 2, subsection 12, mean profits of a property means those profits which a person in wrongful possession of such property actually received or might with ordinary diligence have received therefrom, that's from the property, together with interest on such profits, but shall not include, mean profit shall not include profits due to improvements made by the person in wrongful possession. So mean profits would be the profits actually received or might have been received with ordinary diligence from that property by a person in wrongful possession of that property along with interest. So this is the definition of mean profit. What is the object of mean profit? Now, every person has a right to possess his property and when he is deprived of such property by another person, he is not only entitled to restoration of possession of his property but also damages for wrongful possession from that person. The mean profits are thus compensation paid to the real owner. So the object of mean profit is compensation. Compensation to whom? Compensation to the person who has been kept out of possession and deprived of enjoyment of his property, even though he was entitled to it. Now, this was held in by the Supreme Court in Lucy Kochuvarid versus P. Mariappa Gunda. Now, against whom can mean profits be claimed? Of course, the defendant. Now, this is important. Wrongful possession of the defendant is the essence of a claim for mean profit and the very foundation of the defendant's liability. Now, a person in wrongful possession and enjoyment of immovable property will be liable for mean profits. Again, this was held in Lucy Kochvarid versus P. Mariappa Gunda. Now, it is thus clear that the concept of mean profit is in regard to immovable property and not movable. It's only with respect to immovable property. Now, how do you assess mean profit? Now, since mean profit is really actually damages, there's no rule for calculating mean profit. It depends on the court. But the court will look at something before it comes to a figure for mean profit. And what is it that it would look at? It will look at what the defendant has gained, either actually gained or reasonably could have gained by his wrongful possession. So what is the test that the court applies in calculating mean profit? Now, the court does not look at what the plaintiff has lost by being out of possession, but what the defendant has gained or might reasonably have gained with ordinary prudence of such wrongful possession. This was reiterated in the Supreme Court case of Marshall Sons and Company Limited versus Sahi Oritrans Private Limited. So, if we had to put it in a nutshell, what exactly are the principles involved in determining mean profit? Number one, no profit by a person in wrongful possession. Now, just because I have possession of the place, if it is wrongful possession, I cannot get profit from it. Number one. Number two, restoration of status before dispossession of decree holder. So, if I was the actual owner of that property and I was enjoying that property before it was taken away from me, once I got the property back by a decree in my favor, the idea of mean profit is to put me back into the same position I was before my property was taken away. So restoration of status before dispossession of decree holder. And finally, use to which the decree holder would have put the property if he was in possession. So suppose if I was in possession of this piece of land, instead of growing, say, rather not I, this person who was squatted in on my land, if he grew a plant, say indigo, on the land, and I would have grown something like, say, wheat, sugarcane, or tobacco, then the mean profit would not be on the basis of the indigo grown, but whichever would be the most profitable crop. Now, since we're talking about mean profit being a compensation, it's damages, interest is an integral part of mean profits, and therefore it is allowed in the computation of mean profit. Again, this was held in the Supreme Court in Lucio Kochovarit versus P. Mariappa Gunda. Of course, what is deducted is the costs incurred. So costs could be rent, cesses, cost of cultivation, reaping charges. In other words, basically, mean profit is nothing but net profit.